I'm not going to put a horizon on the time, but I think there will be other ETFs for sure.
An XRP one?
Many people out there are saying that it's a done deal for Ripple's XRP and that banks will use XRP as the one world currency and that XRP is the best crypto to buy now in 2024. But is that actually true? Is there merits to these claims? And is there any proof that banks will actually use XRP moving forward? So in this video, what I'm going to do is break down exactly what's happening with the banks on their official websites and documents that I've uncovered in this video to show you what the game plan is moving forward for the new payment rails and structure for the global financial system, not just in the United States, but overseas in virtually every single country around the world. And by the end of this video, we'll answer one of the most pressing questions, like why is there no increase in the price of XRP despite so many central banks and companies partnering with Ripple? And considering that the banks don't need to use XRP for their transactions with Ripple's technology, how can the price of XRP go higher if the banks adopt the Ripple platform? And if you watched my video yesterday, I talked about Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, which manages over 10 trillion, arguably $20 trillion in assets under management, talking about an Ethereum ETF. He couldn't answer when asked about an XRP ETF. So we have to play this clip from CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, by the end of this video. So hang tight all the way to the end to hear what he has to say about an upcoming XRP ETF.
You see this, will you do another ETF? How about an XRP ETF? I know you got Ether out there. How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't. And you don't want me to.
I do.
Well, I can't.
All right, they're giving me the rap.
So let's dive right in, because with XRP sitting at 57 cents with a $31 billion market cap and the entire industry sitting at $1.7 trillion market cap, how much money could realistically flow into a project like XRP? Well, DZ Bank AG is the second largest bank in Germany by asset size and is partnered with Ripple in November 2023 to launch their blockchain crypto service. And on the Bank of England's official website, they're presenting a joint project roadmap beyond 2024 with Ripple for cross-border payments, synchronizing FX transactions into two different simulated real-time gross settlement systems to achieve scale for wholesale CBDCs. And this was revealed a while back that Wells Fargo has been training on a Swift replacement. And you can see in this online service agreement update talking about real-time payments by Clearinghouse, which is a Ripple partner. Rather than the source just being trust me bro, we go to the official wellsfargo.com website and they're saying RTP or FedNow finding a comprehensive instant payment strategy. And first, there were electronic transactions with next business day settlement. Then faster payments arrived, revolutionizing how companies and consumers move money. Now two instant payment methods push speed and availability even faster. That's RTP from the Clearinghouse and the upcoming FedNow service, which you guys have heard about if you're subscribed to this channel. And RTP allows payments up to 1 million, and FedNow launched with a $500,000 per transaction limit. And Wells Fargo is touting the advantages of RTP, such as stronger liquidity management, greater customer and supplier satisfaction, reduced friction across the payment process, and many other benefits. But if we scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and dig into the details here, which is what we do on this channel, you can see that RTP is a registered service mark of the Clearinghouse Payment Company LLC. So if we go to the clearinghouse.org, their official website, look at real-time payments for all financial institutions to see what this means. RTP from the Clearinghouse is a real-time payment platform that all federally insured U.S. depository institutions are eligible to use for payments innovation. To facilitate safer and faster payments in the U.S., financial institutions of all sizes are taking advantage of the RTP network's capabilities to create or enhance digital services for their corporate and retail customers. And if we look at the RTP quarterly payment activity in billions of dollars, look at the increase in year after year. And so as the volume of transactions grows through the RTP network, so have the number of financial institutions that have joined them in their real-time payments revolution. And the number of technology partners, funding agents, corporate advisory group, and participants that are on their side is absolutely insane, guys. You can see Bank of America, BNY Mellon, Citibank, First National Bank, HSBC, KeyBank, PNC Bank, US Bank, Wells Fargo, and many others. And on the technology providers, you can see ACI Universal Payments. And on ACIworldwide.com, ACI supports around 9% of global Swift traffic and approximately 30% in the US, which is absolutely massive. And ACI offers services to banks around the world wanting to connect and leverage Swift's global payment initiative. And ACI also supports real-time settlements around the world, meaning that any bank can use real-time payment systems to support Swift FIN, GPI, DLT, which is distributed ledger technology. And right here, they're saying Ripple for immediate payments. And if you guys watched my video yesterday, early last year, the R3 Consortium conducted a test of private blockchain amongst 11 banks, including Barclays, UBS, HSBC, among many others. In the test, which ran over a virtual private network in Microsoft's Azure cloud, banks operating over 4 continents were able to settle transactions almost instantaneously compared to settlement times of days or even weeks. And they also ran a test with Ripple along with XRP with 12 banks. And this test, which was successful, demonstrated that banks could make markets for fiat currencies using XRP in the Ripple network, complete authenticated payments without multiple Nostro accounts, enabling them to cut costs and develop additional revenue opportunities. Now, back on the clearinghouse.org official website, we can also see CGI. And on their official website, it says CGI advances blockchain adoption with implementation of Ripple's validator node. And if we do a Command F function on the page, look how many times Ripple is mentioned right here, 12 times. Guys. And Ripple's validators are servers that confirm Ripple's distributed financial technology transactions on the network, and the CGI hosted Ripple validator node provides banking clients with a trusted network partner for Ripple's distributed financial technology that settles international and domestic transactions in real time. So not only are they excited to work with Ripple, but this announcement follows the recent release of CGI's Ripple's enabled intelligent gateway. And the intelligent gateway is one of the first payment solutions in the industry of banking to integrate Ripple's distributed financial technology and providing a solution to payment processing systems globally. Now, also on the technology providers on the clearinghouse, we can see Finastra. And I talked about this yesterday on finastra.com, their official document stating that with Finastra and Ripple's partnership, regulated financial businesses and banks can connect to RippleNet's network via Fusion Total Messaging Adapter using the standard FIM messages, which I'm going to explain in a little bit how this works with Swift. But another fun fact as we do some more digging on the Clearinghouse website under technology providers, if we scroll down, you can see Volante. And if we go to volantetech.com, right here on their official website, it says Volpay cross-border payments with Swift GPI, Ripple, Visa B2B, Visa Direct, and more, where Volpay supports all major cross-border payment networks. And right here, you can see Ripple plastered on their website saying, "We view Volante as a critical partner for building Ripple's new real-time, data-rich payment network." And underneath the clearinghouse participants, we can see US Bank. And if we go to usbank.com, they say transform your business in real time with the RTP network, stating that real-time payments through the RTP network is the future of money movement. I don't know what more you guys need to see, but for those of you that are still wondering what's going on, if we scroll to the bottom of usbank.com's website, it says RTP is a registered trademark of the Clearinghouse Payment Company, LLC. And so how is this all connected? Well, Ripple partnered up with FIS and they teamed up with the Clearinghouse to integrate a new real-time payment service for small and mid-sized US banks. And so Business Wire reported that Ripple's partner FIS inked this deal with the Clearinghouse to usher this in. And banks and their clients constantly ask for payment solutions that are faster and more convenient than the ones available at the moment. So FIS and the Clearinghouse joined forces to give them what they've been asking for, where the real-time payment service managed by FIS is now combined with the payment system running by the Clearinghouse in the US, which is the RTP network, and offers a seamless connection for financial institutions. And the RTP network ensures fast payments for US banks and their clients. And now small, medium-sized banks can join them and make real-time payment transfers via the Clearinghouse's network. And so if we go to discover.fisglobal.com, what is FIS? Well, it's a leading provider of technology solutions for merchants, banks, and capital market firms globally. And one of their biggest use cases is FIS multi-bank implementation for UK banks and EU banks. And they're helping usher in the migration from Swift over to ISO 20022, where financial infrastructures for high-value payments are being reworked around the world right now. So guys, in less than 5 years, arguably in the next 12 months before 2025, most of the major market infrastructures are being renewed, where market infrastructures over in Switzerland, Japan, China, India, among other countries, they're already operating on ISO 20022. Most other major markets, including the US, Europe, and UK, Hong Kong, and Canada, it plans to migrate over the next 1 to 2 years. So the Swift MT standard is prevailing right now, and the ISO 20022 standard is now almost exclusively being used to exchange payments. And the FIS International Payment Platform offers out-of-the-box support to make this migration seamless. So if we look right here on their document, SWIFT will also migrate cross-border payments from SWIFT MT to ISO 20022 from November of 2022. Cross-border payments can be exchanged using either SWIFT MT or ISO 222 messaging with effect from 2025. It will no longer be possible to exchange cross-border payments using SWIFT MT. The FIS International Payments Platform offers out-of-the-box support for this migration, allowing you to maximize the value ISO 20022 brings to all of the banking customers. And who do they have listed on the exact same document? RippleNet. And they say RippleNet uses blockchain-based technology to enable low-cost real-time messaging and settlement of transactions with upfront transparency of end-to-end fees and execution time. And RippleNet can be accessed via the on-premise installed Ripple software called xCurrent. FIS integration with Ripple's blockchain-based solution is being used at our clients' businesses for making cross-border remittance payments. Now, I know this is a lot to take in, and we need to understand how this is connected to XRP and why the price of XRP has not gone up, but how RippleNet works, broken down into 4 key offerings that customers can take advantage of, xCurrent, xRapid, xVia. And if we look at xCurrent focuses specifically on banks, providing them with cross-border payments at a lower cost than traditional international settlements. Banks harness xCurrent by installing the platform software via an application programming interface or API that can convert conventional payments to the XRP powered alternative. And xCurrent is designed to fit within banks' existing compliance and risk capabilities, streamlining the installation process. So it's not designed to replace SWIFT. It's designed to complement SWIFT. And xCurrent documentation notes that the solution abides by all current KYC, AML policies. The xCurrent system can break down even further into 4 components, which is messenger, FX ticker, validator, and interledger protocol. Now, while xCurrent provides cheap and fast cross-border payments, xRapid ensures customers can source liquidity via the XRP token. And so traditional financial methods require businesses to pre-fund, Nostro and Vostro accounts, and that can take weeks to convert one to fiat into another, which has a massive bottlenecks, not only for the customers, but for the banks. So xRapid offers near instant conversions, freeing up liquidity in a process also known as on-demand liquidity, removing the need for businesses to pre-fund foreign areas, keeping that money in its accounts instead. And then xVia is the API segment of RippleNet, ensuring customers can easily connect to the services mentioned above. So for those of you wondering, why is there no increase in the price of XRP despite all of this news blatantly in our face, all of these partnerships with these banks, whether it's directly or indirectly through Ripple's partners? Well, David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, he responded back to these questions. He said, there's a business that Ripple has providing transaction processing software to banks. It can work without XRP and without any blockchain tech. So that's the argument that a lot of people are using right now, saying that they're not going to need XRP. And yes, that is true. Keep listening to this because it improves international payments using end-to-end messaging to track payment progress, ensuring all necessary compliance information is in the transaction in the first place, precisely knowing the fees ahead of time and providing prompt, reliable confirmation of delivery. This is a big enough improvement that banks will use it, even if the actual money moves the same way that it does now. So Ripple has built a public blockchain with, XRP as the native asset. It has various features, a distributed exchange, good governance, fast transactions, high transaction volume, native multi-sig, key rotation, payment channels, and so on. The hard part about getting banks to use a blockchain isn't the blockchain, it's everything else. It's governance, compliance, regulatory compliance, integration with banking systems that are currently in place, and so on. Their software does all of that stuff. So if routing a payment through XRP is a penny cheaper, the banks can take it, and then we will have to make XRP cheaper somewhere that matters. Ripple likely won't target the biggest corridors at first, like USD to the euro early, because they're already efficient. Early targets will be inefficiencies, but fairly high volume corridors. For example, like EUR to the INR. Market makers, currency traders often have very small profit margins, so even a small incentive to place, Euro, XRP, and then XRP to the INR can beat what banks are getting now through the correspondent banking systems. So once they get one corridor, they hang other countries off each end of the corridor, expanding the reach of XRP. Now, say you're a company like Apple with a fat stack of cash. If you want to snag up other assets for cheap, you'll need to hold the asset that people that are selling it want. So if you're going into any of their corridors, they'll want XRP, so they would want to hold it. If Ripple is successful at getting XRP used as a vehicle asset in international payments, new corporations and companies like Uber or Airbnb, who make payments all over the globe and want to make them as quickly and cheaply as possible, could significantly add to the demand for XRP. And why is that? Well, number one, they can buy XRP at below market cost. Say they want to buy the US dollar, they just wait for someone to make a payment that's bridged with XRP that delivers the US dollar. They can provide the US dollar for a delivery and take the XRP from the other side of the payment. Since they're providing someone else liquidity, they'll pay below market rate. And number two, they can make payments funded from XRP at roughly half the cost. Say they want to pay into a corridor that's bridged by XRP. Since they already have XRP, they can save the cost of the to XRP half of the payment. So what this means is they'll save money by holding piles of XRP sufficient to adapt the timing of these two operations. And they'll be adding to the XRP demand. These forces could be expected to increase the price of XRP. Now, the same logic can apply to all kinds of companies that make payments around the world. At least that's what Ripple's betting on. So after all, the reason why Ripple is doing this is to increase the demand of XRP, which would increase the value that they can extract from their stash of XRP locked away in their escrow accounts. And so another reason why the price hasn't been impacted yet is because these massive banks and institutions haven't completely gone all in, because the lawsuit is still ongoing. Even though, yes, people would say it's over, Ripple won, well, there's still court dates coming up, and they're going back and forth with the SEC to decide how much money Ripple has to pay for selling XRP to institutional clients, which broke securities laws. But once the lawsuit is completely cleared up this year, then there's going to be nothing holding XRP back other than Bitcoin, because we know that all altcoins are following Bitcoin right now. And if the macro market sentiment of what the Federal Reserve is doing, lowering interest rates, affects Bitcoin, and we see Bitcoin sell off, then that's going to be an uphill battle for liquidity to flow into XRP and all other altcoins. So if we see Bitcoin drop down to $38,000, well, the real question is, how would that affect the altcoin market? Would we see liquidity flow out of Bitcoin into altcoins, or would we see Bitcoin bleed out and altcoins bleed out? And if that happens, would we see XRP bleed out and see a sell-off to the downside to this upward trending support that's been trending along since June of 2022? Either way, XRP is coiling up and it's gearing up to make a massive move here very, very soon. And I personally do feel it is one of the safer investments in the crypto space, because they have the legal clarity that they need, and these partnerships are just too massive to ignore. But again, it's not financial advice. Don't buy, don't sell XRP. I'm just bringing you the news, and it's up to you to choose what you want to do. But why does the XRP token need to have a high value and price for it to be used on the Ripple network by banks if it will be adopted? Can it be used with, a zero value or like a stablecoin value at $1? And David Schwartz is saying, no, it can't be, used unless it has sufficient value and liquidity, or to be more precise, the more value and liquidity that it has, the higher the price, the broader the range of payments it can be used to settle. The easiest way you can see why this is so if you think about Bitcoin, 4 years ago, you couldn't buy a house with Bitcoin, but you can today. But it would be very hard to settle a $1 billion payment with Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin's price goes to $1 million, you could settle a $1 billion payment with it a lot easier. So for XRP to be able to settle, global payments in the FX markets and real world assets of tokenization of that, like Larry Fink says, then it would make sense for XRP's price to be valued higher. And so what could be a catalyst that would drive the price of XRP higher? Well, it could potentially be an XRP ETF. Now, listen to what Brad Garlinghouse just had to say when he was asked about an XRP ETF.
I think Gary Gensler is doing the same thing over and over again, and it thinks that somehow he's going to win in court. He has continued to lose in court. I do think the chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, has become a political liability in the United States. And I think he's not acting in the best interest of the citizenry. He's not acting in the best interest of the long-term growth of the economy. And I don't understand it. And I think at some point, there will be a new chair of the SEC, and I think that'll be a good thing for the American people.
There were a couple of interesting things after that Bitcoin ETF was approved in that statement. One, and I paraphrase here, was effectively Gary Gensler saying, just because we allowed the Bitcoin ETF don't think we're now going to allow a bunch of other crypto assets. The second interesting thing was the price of Ether skyrocketed immediately after on hopes that there could now next be an ETH ETF. What are the chances of that?
I think it's a certainty. I think
This year?
I'm not going to put a horizon on the time, but I think there will be other ETFs for sure.
An XRP one?
There will be other ETFs for sure.
but an XRP one?
I love this game we play. Look, I am very
That's the last time I lost.
That's fine. But look, the sad part of that reality is we have a Bitcoin ETF only because a U.S. court said to the SEC, you're being arbitrary and capricious in your application of the law. What would be sad is if every ETF had to go through that same journey and for Gary Gensler to get smacked down by the U.S. court system again. That might be necessary, but again, at some point, I think Gary Gensler won't be the chair of the SEC, and that will be a good thing for the American people.
Do you think that in 2024 there is the political will, given it's an election year as well, to pass some of these bills and bring them into law?
I said earlier I don't like to predict things based on time, and this one I will. I think this year there will be legislation that passes.
For Ripple versus the SEC lawsuit, when do we get a conclusion?
Look, but most of it has been resolved, right? So the SEC filed a lawsuit in December of 2020, so just over 3 years ago, against me, against Chris Larson, and against Ripple. The case against Chris and Brad, myself, have been dismissed entirely with prejudice, meaning they can't ever bring it back. And the case against Ripple, they lost on everything they cared about. I mean, their primary tenet was that XRP is a security. And in the Judge Torres's opinion, what she wrote is XRP is in and of itself not a security. So I feel very good about that. The SEC then asked for approval to appeal that decision, and that was denied. So, I mean, look, the SEC has lost consistently in this case. There is a piece of the case that continues around institutional sales, because investment contracts, where Ripple sold XRP to institutions who wanted to speculate. The irony there is, again, the SEC's one of their missions is to protect investors. How many of our institutional XRP sales did they lose money? None. So, what are we arguing about? Anyway, so look, that will proceed through the court system for a little bit longer, but I feel very good about where we are, and I frankly really pleased for the whole XRP ecosystem, and the whole crypto market benefited immensely from that legal win.
So in terms of an IPO, an exit of some sort, is that sort of parked to the side at this point?
Yeah, I mean,
or are you
I don't
looking
think
elsewhere, outside the US for a listing?
I mean, yes to all of those. Okay. I don't think about an IPO as an exit. I think about an IPO as a step in the journey. Shareholder liquidity is important to me. We have investors that first invested in Ripple in 2012. So they've been in this deal for 11 and a half years. And so we want to provide that liquidity, which is one of the reasons why we've done these tender offers and now repurchased just over $1 billion of stock. We have looked at other jurisdictions that have clearer rules of the road. But honestly, a lot of people go public because they need to raise capital.
Yeah.
Ripple's not really in a place where we need to raise capital. And so it is not a short-term priority. We're obviously keeping that option open, and we'll evaluate it as time continues. And we'll evaluate it again as we have new regulators sitting at the United States SEC.
Do you think the retail investor at this point may be a little bit more cautious this time around, this cycle, about dipping the toe back in?
I think probably yes, but look, one of the I think advantages is I've been around the block once or twice. I remember the earliest days of the internet as we know it, and the retail investor really drove the hype cycle of Internet 1.0, and I'm talking about 1999, 2000, and then you had a washout in 2001, 2002, and that was a painful, the dot-com crash. But today, when we sit here, some of the most valuable companies on the planet in Alphabet, Meta, these are companies that were born of that era. And so I think that what happens in the short term around crypto is, I take a very long view. And I encourage, whether you're a retail investor or an institutional investor, I think if you take a long-term view about where these markets are going and why there's so much momentum despite the self-inflicted wounds. I mean, again, as you and I talked backstage, Bitcoin's not that far from its all-time high right now.
Yeah.
And I'm very optimistic about what we're going to see this year.
Brad, just as we wrap up, I was walking down the promenade yesterday, and crypto has been displaced by AI as the cool kid on the block. How do you feel about that?
I'm thrilled.
You're thrilled. Why?
Look, I think that
It's good that crypto is boring now, right?
I don't know if I go that far. Look, I think every new technology goes through a hype cycle. I think AI is also a technology here to stay, transformational in a lot of ways, but also not exactly clear what the business models are, how it's going to play out. And I think that's where crypto was a few years ago. And I think now we're further along, and I think that's a very positive thing for the crypto industry. I'm excited about what's going on in AI. I'm a voyeur, not a participant in that world, but it's going to be interesting.
So interesting how his reaction was very similar to Larry Fink, how they'd laugh it off and they can't really talk about it. So are they under NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, where they can't talk about it because they've already put this in place behind the scenes with the government, with the banking institutions, and everything that we've been sharing with you over the past few years? I'll let you guys decide. But if you want to see more content like this video, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to discover our other top altcoin picks first before we make these videos about them, and you want to get early bird access to our financial education platform when that's released, you don't need any previous crypto trading experience. All you need to do right now is go to bullrunners.com. The link will be in the description below. Click the big green button on the page that says, yes, give me instant access. Put in your best email address. It's free to do so. You're going to get instant access to our Telegram group. You're going to be able to join our newsletter because we're going to give you the best information to help you prepare for the worst that's yet to come in this economy. Because together, you know what we're doing. We're backing up our truck all the way to the bank, grabbing the bags, packing them and stacking them, leaving no bags left behind, because we believe that the spending power of the dollar is going to continue to go down in value. That's a fact based on inflation. Blockchain tech, distributed ledger technology, and cryptocurrencies are going up in interest. That's the truth. And together, you know where we're going. We're going camping on the beaches of the moon. I'll see you guys on the next video. I'll see you on bullrunners.com. As always, stay bullish.